No corruption here. The Minister of Electricity's road trip around Eskom sites reveal the true gremlins behind our energy crisis.
6 years without services.
Mind the gap between the moving train and those living on the tracks. And gays are not welcome.
That same-sex attraction is not innate and immutable characteristic.
Uganda's dangerous turn on the LGBTQI community. Some of the top stories. I'm Jane Dutton. This is Eyewitness News. Riddled with corruption, and yet the new Minister for Electricity blames technical issues for Eskom's power problems. Kgosientsho Ramokgopa is on an 8-day assessment tour of the country's power stations. He visited Kusile and Kendal power stations on Human Rights Day yesterday, today the Tutuka power station in Mpumalanga, and says the efficiency of Eskom's power stations is affected by technical defaults. Ramokgopa says he has yet to come across any dodgy dealings raised by the former Eskom CEO. Andre de Ruyter claims corruption has brought the parastatal to its knees. But should such reports surface, he'll not hesitate to address them. Plans to restore Kuberg's Unit 1 have hit a snag. Eskom says it's only managed to remove 1 of 3 steam generators set for replacement.
November last year. Sibone nje bake ifike 28 ifula kungenzeki njalo. Sazama ke ufuthi ulandelelela noqonda into ba ithini into.
After 3 years of not operating at all, Cape Town Central Line is back up and running in parts, but not without some unresolved issues. Families still living on the railway line in Langa have threatened to disrupt services if their demands, including their relocation, are not met.
There was an application that they were putting for a land within the Mitchells Plain community.
Train services were brought to a halt by extortionists demanding protection fees from the passenger rail agency contractors. Infrastructure was stolen and people were living on the line. Here's some news from Parliament. For the first time since 2014, the Speaker of the National Assembly faced a motion of no confidence. Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula is accused by the EFF of conducting herself in an irresponsible, unconstitutional and unacceptable manner.
And now suspend the proceedings.
It stems from these scenes that played out during this year's State of the Nation address.
Mrs. Mapisa-Nqakula is a mistake of history and a step backwards for women leadership in this country. As the EFF, we table this motion of no confidence in the Speaker because under her, the gains of our democracy are being reversed at a rapid rate.
Perhaps this discussion is at this point in time premature. Up until there's a credible report and Parliament has concluded its investigative processes, we're unfortunately not in a position to support it.
The former president's legal team has taken issue with several civil society groups acting as friends of the court in Jacob Zuma's private prosecution against Billy Downer and Karen Maughan. They include the South African National Editors Forum, which held a picket today. Zuma has accused the prosecutor of sanctioning what he describes as the leaking of a doctor's note to Maughan containing confidential medical information. Maughan and Downer want the private prosecution case struck from the roll. The matter resumed for a second day in the Pietermaritzburg High Court.
The Joburg High Court in January rejected a similar argument Zuma put up in opposition to a similar application from President Cyril Ramaphosa challenging the private prosecution he's facing at the hands of his predecessor, though. Earlier today, Masuku also slammed the involvement of the South African National Editors Forum, Media Monitoring Africa, and the Campaign for Free Expression, which have joined Karen Maughan's application as Amicai Curiae, or Friends of the Court, and the Helen Suzman Foundation, which has joined Billy Downer's. He's described these organizations as partisan and opponents of Zuma's and argued their submissions don't assist the court. Bernadette Wicks, Eyewitness News, Pietermaritzburg High Court.
Less bang for your buck. Your money is buying you a whole lot less today. Consumer inflation has increased by 1 percentage point for the first time in 4 months. So we're paying more for almost everything: food, housing, utilities, as well as transport. Food and non-alcoholic beverages increased by 13.6% over the past year, while a staple like maize meal is also up. Milk, cheese and eggs also remain on the costly side. The senseless, violent killing of yet another woman. Luyanda Tsele was 24 years old and an intern at the KwaZulu-Natal Occupational Health and Safety Unit. She went missing on Friday after work, having told her sister she was going out for drinks. Her mutilated body was found in the South Beach area at the weekend.
And that this bill, right on Speaker, recognizes that same-sex attraction is not innate and immutable characteristic. It was also intended to protect our cherished culture, the legal, religious and traditional family values of Ugandans, and acts that are likely to promote sexual promiscuity in this country.
In Uganda, life imprisonment and even the death penalty for anyone who engages in same-sex activities. Amnesty International has urged Uganda to reject an anti-gay bill passed by its country's parliament. The body says the legislation passed by Yoweri Museveni's government is a grave assault, saying it'll institutionalize discrimination, hatred and prejudice against members of the LGBTQI+ community. Being gay is already illegal in the conservative East African nation. And for the first time, the Belgian monarchy is visiting South Africa. King Philippe and Queen Matilda are on a state visit to the country at the invitation of President Cyril Ramaphosa. It's hoped the visit will revitalize economic relations, trade, foreign direct investment and tourism. Of course, top of our current agenda is electricity, and those talks will also focus on renewable energy and particular green hydrogen. So welcome to South Africa. And that's it from the Eyewitness News team. I'm Jane Dutton. See you tomorrow.
Eyewitness News. In touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, log on to ewn.co.za or ewn.mobi.